that's a good team. I mean, Alvin Kamara has looked damn good.
Alvin Kamara scores the touchdown.
It made it tough on our defense, which made it tough on the whole team.
The pass is intercepted.
You're not going to win games that way, damn sure, not against an offense that's rolling like that.
You ain't going to catch him, not Alvin Kamara.
Now we just simply got to reset. We've got to respond, put the best team on the field next week.
All right, as I mentioned earlier, Nick, I feel like the theme of this week was just the shocking upsets and the parity in the NFL, which makes it so exciting and wide open in some capacities. Who was the most disappointing team in week 2?
Definitely the Dallas Cowboys. Like, they had an opportunity to go up against a team in the NFC that's better than we thought. But one of the strengths of the Cowboys team, we thought, was their defensive line, or at least their ability to rush the passer. Their D-line got pushed around by an offensive line that we thought was going to be one of the worst in football. And they didn't stop the run. They didn't stop the pass. Like, Shaheed was behind that defense all day. And then they couldn't come back because they have one formidable weapon on offense in CeeDee Lamb, and they're handing the ball off to Zeke Elliott. It was an incredibly embarrassing loss. It looked exactly like the playoff game from last year. They spent the whole offseason saying that they're going to be all in and they're going to address their issues from last year, but the issues are still here.
To that point, that playoff game, Shannon, before you go real quick, they allowed 92 points in their last 2 home games. So that playoff game and then obviously this, which is the most ever by the Cowboys.
It's shocking and disappointing.
Yeah. Shay?
I don't know what Nick talking about. What D-line you talking about when they have faced a competent offensive line? When they face a competent offensive line, they play the 49ers or they play Green Bay or somebody that not starting guys that weren't going to get an opportunity to play had they not been there. I digress. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. 11 penalties for 109 yards, 3 for 11 on third down. And they had a 10-point lead late into the ball game. And you got MVP, reigning MVP, 1 vote short of being unanimous again for the second time. You bring in Derrick Henry, a guy we know who can be a bell cow back, but John Harbaugh said we didn't bring him in here to give him 30 touches. No, you got to be disappointed in that situation. And you playing the Raiders, and you're at home, and Gardner Minshew is their starting quarterback, and you've done a great job of bottling him up all day. You had Devontae Adams on ice pretty much all day, and then all of a sudden you let your guard down, and the next thing you know, the Raiders walk it off with a field goal. So, considering what we expected the Ravens to be, because all we heard about, get back in that opportunity, get back in that situation, do it over and over and over again. Well, if in last week, and I don't think last week is any indication, but I'm very disappointed with what I saw from the Baltimore Ravens because they have an MVP, a former Offensive Player of the Year in Derrick Henry, a guy that we know can go get you 1,400 yards still, given the right situation. I was very disappointed in what I saw with the Ravens.
S.A., real quick before you jump in, I just have to say, I don't know how much stock we should be putting in MVP awards anymore, to be honest with you, because it's a regular season award. So it should encompass the regular season and the playoffs. So it's like, great, you're great in the regular season. What does it mean when we're talking full season and Super Bowls?
He's still that same player, Molly.
Well,
what?
And not just that, not just that, Molly. Your opinion would be more valid if you didn't hold it against folks debating about what folks do in the regular season. You seem to pick and choose when you want to get on us about folks' performance in the regular season. One minute, 1 week you're feeling that way, another week you're not. But I'm just saying,
with Lamar Jackson saying he's an MVP, he should have done. Like, what have we seen him do in the playoffs?
I'm saying to you, when we say that, you'll jump on us about what he did in the regular season.
This isn't about me. This is about you. Well, you're the star
you made
of the
it
show,
about you, so all right, welcome to the party. You made it about you, so welcome to the party. There we go. Now, the other part about this, Dom, is this. I get where you're coming from, but it's all a matter of taste, my brother. I can assure you, I ain't disappointed in the Cowboys. It didn't bother me at all. I wasn't disappointed at all. It didn't bother me a little bit, so let's get that out the way. Shay is right. It's the Ravens, okay? You're in the AFC Championship game last year. The only thing that stopped you, arguably, if Zay Flowers, doesn't botch that, that touchdown that he had. I mean, the Ravens could have been Super Bowl champions instead of the Kansas City Chiefs for all we know. So that's number 2. Number 3, let's look at what they're doing. They're accustomed to blowing 10-point leads in the fourth quarter. This is what they've been doing about 4 or 5 occasions. Then I'm looking at some numbers right here, okay? They've allowed, these are the Ravens here. These are the Ravens we're talking about here. They've already allowed 8 25-plus yard completions this season. Last year, they didn't do that until week 9. They've done it by week 2 this time around, okay? You look at opposing quarterbacks, all right? Play action, opposing offense. On play action plays, Shay, on play action plays, Dom, opposing quarterbacks are 15 for 15 for 112 yards and a touchdown. That's 100% completion rate. That's what we're talking about here. All you got to do is play fake, and the Baltimore Ravens can't seem to defend against you over these first 2 games. That's number 2, okay? And then number 3, you're talking about Lamar Jackson, 1 of 9 for 38 yards on attempts traveling 20 or more yards. You're not producing. You're not doing what we expected you to do thus far this season from the league MVP. We're not seeing Derrick Henry get the activity we thought he should get and would get. We're not seeing a lot of different things. So I'm very disappointed with the Ravens right now because your next 3 games is the Cowboys, the Bills, and the Bengals. You got to win at least 2 of those games. Otherwise, your season is over.
The Ravens got a tough schedule, and they got a bunch of challenges in front of them. But they're fortunate enough to be in a division right now that's being led by the Steelers, which the Steelers are playing okay. And all the things you pointed out about the Ravens are concerning, but the Ravens are kind of the opposite of the Cowboys in that they always kind of figure it out. Maybe they haven't won enough Super Bowls, but this is a team that we can trust to make the adjustments to get better. The Cowboys, the reason why it's disappointing is we knew what their issues were last year. They said they were going to address it. We were critical of David Tepper in the last segment. Jerry Jones is the most outspoken person. He said we're all in, and then he came in with the same situation still persisting. That's the concerning part about the Cowboys to me. And the Derrick Henry question, like I get it. We all love Derrick Henry, want him to get the ball all the time, but they didn't bring Derrick Henry in to finish off these early season games against the Raiders. They brought Derrick Henry in for late season, and they're trying to preserve him for that point. The defensive questions, though, for the Ravens, those are huge. That's incredibly disappointing because they are not without the spine of their defense. They still have Matabike. They still have Humphrey. They still have
Raekwon.
Roquan in the middle. Yeah, like they still have the strength of that middle of that defense in Hamilton at safety. The question is why they're giving up so many big plays right now. That is hugely concerning, but I trust them to figure it out. I think the Cowboys are cooked. They feel cooked. If you can't stop the run against the Saints, I don't know how they're going to be competitive for the rest of the season. So that's why it's disappointing, because we thought they'd at least be a playoff.
Yeah. Jay?
But, Molly, here's to your point. You said the MVP is a regular season award.
Yeah.
Was Game 2 in the regular season or the postseason?
No, you're absolutely right, Shannon. Shannon, I picked the Ravens to go to the Super Bowl this year, all right? Full disclosure.
I know
I'm just saying at some point, these MVP awards, I feel like we can't put that much stock in them. And I know, obviously, you get the Finals MVP, the MVP, but I think to really be the MVP of a season, it should encompass both the regular season and the postseason.
No.
Super Bowl MVP, obviously.
No, we can't do that. Molly, we can't do
Shannon,
that because we like the guy.
regular season awards? Like, what is it?
A lot of people.
Everybody.
Well, you're a Hall of Famer with Super Bowl rings. You care about who's good in the regular season and stinks it up in the playoffs?
Fox, there's something to be said. We've seen guys play well. How many guys got Super Bowl MVPs that are not in the Hall of Fame? Yeah. You can be great for one game, but to win an MVP, it is a course of 17 weeks or 16 weeks before they went to the 17-game schedule, so 18 weeks. Guys got to be great game in and game out, week in and week out. We can't just all of a sudden say, well, regular season MVPs don't win anything because the guy doesn't have success in the postseason. All I'm saying is that when we look at Lamar Jackson, and people, and I think Lamar Jackson is a top 5 quarterback, he's not out of the top 3 for me. But Sunday, the team did not play well. They were 3 for 11 on 3rd down. Lamar has the ball in his hands. They had a 10-point lead with him and Derrick Henry in their backfield. They committed 11 penalties. I'm not saying they can't change it around, but the question was, who was the most disappointing team? Fox took the Cowboys. Stephen A. and I took the Ravens because, like you said, you picked them to go to the Super Bowl.
That is disappointing.
They're playing the Raiders, who got took apart by the Chargers.
No, it's fair, and they were 8.5-point favorites. I totally get it. But Shannon, I just had to push back one more time. Can we both win? Couldn't it then be your MVP encompasses the regular season and the postseason, which matters most, and then on top of that, you could also have a Super Bowl MVP? Does that not make more sense?
That if a guy won, it would be great, Molly, if the guy, when he won the MVP, they turn around and they won the Super Bowl, or they won the NBA championship, or they won the World Series. But it doesn't always work out like that. There are outliers in situations where you get a Michael Jordan, or you get a Magic, or you get a Bird in the years that they won MVP, they also won the championship that year. But it doesn't always work out like that. Yeah, LeBron did it 2 for 2 when he was in Miami, but it doesn't always work out like that. And I don't want people to try to diminish a regular season MVP, because that's a lot of work. It's a course of 17 games. It's a course of 162 games. It's a course of 82 games. And I don't think we should poo-poo that because all of a sudden his team didn't have the level of success in the postseason as they had in the regular season. I think MVP
Shannon,
still
you're
matters.
right. When you bring in the team part, you've swayed me.
It's
You're
a lot. It's a lot of
right.
work, and it does change the expectations. Once you start piling those up, people put a lot more pressure on you. I will say this about the Ravens: we talked about a lot of the issues that they're having. We haven't mentioned their offensive line, which seemed like a major issue in that game too. But the reason why I think the Ravens are a little bit less disappointing than the Cowboys is the Ravens had that game under control. Like, I didn't feel like they just got manhandled and destroyed. The Ravens should have won that game. And yes, it's embarrassing that the last 3 seasons they've had a bunch of these late games that they give up and they blow, and maybe that's something to be concerned about. But I didn't watch that game thinking, man, the Ravens don't even belong on the same field as the Raiders. I watched that game and felt like the Ravens are better than the Raiders, but they blew this game. I watched that Cowboys game. I was like, man, they don't even seem like they're going to be competitive in their division. That's why I was more disappointed. And I understand the expectations for the Ravens are higher than the Cowboys.
What are they now, though? What are the expectations now for the Ravens that you've seen 2 weeks?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
still the same.
Yeah, I haven't. The expectations in Baltimore haven't changed. I think that you have more faith in that coaching staff and that they'll be able to figure out some sort of way to address the issues on that defense and find a way to protect Lamar a little bit better. But the expectations for the Cowboys, that's starting to change in my mind. I thought of them as a playoff team before this season started. And, I mean, making the playoffs is a reasonable thing. The Cowboys do it every year. I thought they'd win 10 games. They win 12 every year.
Yeah.
I'm questioning that going forward if they can't stop the run.
If they're even going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen A's really upset about that. So he's just he's at a loss for words.
I think he might be. He wants them in the playoffs. He wants them to get in the playoffs.
His face says it all.
But hey, it's cool. Hey, Fox, let me ask you this. Early in that ball game, you probably thought the Raiders didn't have any business being on the field with the Ravens. But the Ravens, you might want to block the opposing team's best player. That's just a thought. I want to throw that out there. 98 for the Raiders. He's their best player. You might want to block him or trip him, pinch him, or something.